this is John Kvale, and this is our May Capital Market and Financial Planning Review. Look at this snazzy AI splash page picture that I did, and I talk about the originality of AI in this, but just for those of you that are in listen-only mode, it essentially what I did is I dumped the entire post into Gemini and said, make me a fun splash image for my blog, and this is what it came up with, and I'm very impressed. For those of you that are new, which we have many, I do this in a video, audio, podcast type of format. I review, and most of the time I review articles. There's one just looking forward on the capital markets and the economy that's going on. I have gone to Monday Happy Shirts, and it's a Saturday right around noon. And so I've got my Happy Shirt on. Thanks for the compliments. And Happy Shirt, it's kind of a bright, the golfing community has gone to a bright shirt, kind of crazy. I don't know if you can see this, but it's one of the birds. And anyway, I'm digressing. So if you're driving down the road and you're listening to this, since we do this in a video, audio, podcast format, keep your hands on the wheel and be safe. I told that to somebody today. We were talking this week, and I kind of had to chuckle at myself, and they laughed as well. All right, we've got a couple of financial planning tips. I've changed up the way this format looks so it's easier to read on your cell phone, which I know most of you are probably looking at this. So let's get with it. Financial planning tips. Did an original article, and it was looking at Heirship statistics, and I tried to poke holes in the statistics, and the harder I dug, the worse it got. So this is part 2, and I reviewed part 2, but in part 1, which was last month, it was all these negative statistics. This is a little bit of a manifesto of the things that we've seen. So quickly, if you missed part 1, the statistics were talking about how heirship is really severed. In other words, the lineage, bottom line, heirs blow through their money, according to these multiple articles that I found, within one generation, basically. We're not finding that. And maybe that's because all the generations that we've seen, and we've had many of them, we were in contact with them. So maybe this is self-serving, and this is my very absolute last bullet point, which is we didn't see these terrible statistics. So here's some of the things that we saw that we've observed that were good habits. And another AI, here we are talking about this AI. This was a really cool creation of an image. We'll talk more about the AI here in a second. So this month, actually probably this year, we have helped open, been a part of opening more entities than we've ever had. And it's just a function of liability. And so we're well into double-digit entities from tons of different needs, reasons. And so just as a point of that, when you open these entities, you do have, and I say keeping up the minutes, we do have a responsibility, and I must profess I wasn't doing a good job of keeping up my minutes. I have brought them all up today, and I'll tell you a secret what I do. By the way, we're careful not to practice law in here. This is an attorney from mycorporation.com, and I cruised through and got a lot of good quoted and gave them of course, gave them the source for this. But tell you what I am doing now is I keep, since the minutes are usually pretty simple to do, I keep a little note of items as I go through the year that will be good to talk about in the minutes. Because what you're going to find when you do your minutes is you just didn't have enough to talk about. So if you have something that's involved in this entity that you've created, and it needs to be specific for that entity, when something happens, you buy a computer or you do something, make a little note on that, and you can put that in your minutes, and that'll make it more authentic. The main reason to keep your minutes up is just, number one, to show the IRS that you are doing it, and that it's not just you. And number two, the same reason is to give yourself separation and protection. That's what I'm talking about right here. Personal protection and separation via IRS. So, and by the way, this is a hot link to Microsoft that has like 15 different minute templates. Okay, back to this AI stuff. I've already talked about it. This is amazing I guess it's not surprising. More articles were created by AI than humans. And these are, I forget the name of what they call the articles. They're not not mainstream like media articles, but they are, AI is creating a lot of stuff. And I wanted to remind you guys that while we use AI predominantly for images because we've had copyright issues before, we don't use AI in our writings, and one of our most backhanded compliments is, you really don't write all this stuff. Yes, we do. Yes, I do. Grammatical mistakes, self-deprecating comments, typos, and everything. So just a fun reminder on that. And this will grow and change, I'm sure, as things go on. Okay. This was not included in any of our writings per se, but it's the elephant in the room. So this consumer price index, and Koyfin continues to just do this graphically. You guys, longtime followers, know that I like to be able to show graphs and speak to the graphs. So essentially, this is CPI, Consumer Price Index, and this is the Personal Consumption Index. PCE, which is, here it is right here, is the Federal Reserve, well, was the Federal Reserve's, probably will be with the new Fed chief, and there's a good article that I can write. Preferred inflation measurement. What's going on? Well, oil, this is March, oil goes screaming up. It's no, mystery that then that flowed through to the economic numbers, and our North Star, Hedgeye, has this thing going up to 4, maybe even to 5 consumer price index. You may say, well, oil prices are coming down. There will be a delayed reaction. Oil prices, even if they come right down, it will take a while for it to go through the system. So it's likely we're going to be talking about this in the fall, some of these economic numbers still being affected no matter what happens to the price of oil. Here's an interesting kind of pro tip. All of the things that have happened, and oil didn't even go up. I think I'm going to write an article about this because I wrote about oil hitting $150 a barrel. Isn't it interesting? Oil prices, thankfully, didn't even get up. These are closing spot prices above 115. Now, there were several days that they went up to 120, 130, but they didn't close that day. So there's some tea leaves in that, and I'll tease you on that. The possibilities. So those of you that are in listen-only mode, we thank you. I am scrolling back to the top to the snazzy, what I call snazzy splash image that Gemini made for me. So just on the AI, I usually have Gemini do the images, and then there's something embedded in the actual WordPress, which is what I use my blog post on. So that is it. Thank you so much. I'll see all the software was up. I appreciate you coming along for this whole 7+ minutes. Have a good day. Have a good summer. We'll talk to you in about a month. Thanks.